Alright, what's up fellow humans? If you've been here before, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time joining us, then also welcome. This is a channel about documenting our authentic experience as we budget travel slowly throughout all the places that we can in the world. And this is my first time in Vietnam. So far, this is a land of scooters, cheap food, cigarettes, and some pretty unique culture that I've never seen before. This all kind of comes together to make a pretty unique feeling place, honestly. It can be a little bit chaotic at times. I hope you guys can hear me. I turned down this street because I thought it was going to be a little bit more quiet. The main streets are pretty busy, and I'll have to turn on to one of those in a second. But this video in particular is going to be talking just a little bit about my experience in the city that we're in now over the past few weeks. I guess we've been here for maybe about a month now. And this is in a place called Vung Tau. Vung Tau is a pretty good place. Everybody smiles. It's really cool. Vung Tau is like it's a peninsula city, maybe a medium-sized city that is about 2 to 3 hours away from Ho Chi Minh, Saigon. You can get here a couple of different ways. You can take a private car, which is what we did. I think the private car from basically the airport to here was about maybe 55, 60 USD for a 3-hour trip, so that's still not too bad. But you can also take a bus. There's a few bus options, and you can even take a ferry down the river, but they don't run as often, so check the times if that's the way that you want to get here. Vung Tau is a pretty good option, though, I think, if you are a digital nomad and you're trying to stay in Vietnam for a couple of months, and especially if you're just trying to pick one place to chill out, work, and get an authentic experience. I don't think it's very well known in the greater digital nomad community, or even for travelers in general. I haven't seen that many other foreigners here, and it seems like it's super, super authentic, which is really cool. Let's wait for this guy to pass. Good. Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, everybody's super kind, like I was saying. Anyway, my two favorite things about this town so far are the food prices and accommodation prices and the authenticity. I guess that's 3 things. You can probably there's tons and tons of street food options, from banh mi, which is probably one of the most well-known items that you can get, various other street meats and sausages, but you can feed yourself for like $2 easily, maybe 50 cents if you're on a tight budget. Howdy. And if you go to a sit-down restaurant, you can pay like, I don't know, maybe $4 USD. We just went to a hot pot restaurant, and for 2 people with drinks, I think it was $7.50 for both of us, which is super awesome. The accommodation in this city is also pretty cheap, especially since it's not a well-known tourist area like some of the other beach towns like Da Nang. You're not going to run into too many scams or too much of an upscaled price. Hope you guys can still hear me. There is tons of scooters. There's probably like 10 scooters for every car here, honestly. But currently, we are staying in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 20th floor of a super nice modern condo building. The condo has 2 pools, a workspace, and a gymnasium and a yoga room, and it's 550 USD a month. You can probably find a cheaper accommodation if you're a local, or if you plan on staying here on a more permanent basis, like if you want to live in Vietnam forever, then I'm sure you can find a better deal than 550 for a 2-bedroom. But for slow travelers, that's what we were able to find on Airbnb, just to give you an idea. You can probably find a 1-bedroom for maybe 350 to 500 online. Short term, you can probably find a 2-bedroom for maybe 450 to 700. This is kind of gonna greatly depend on the area as well. If you go to one of those more well-known tourist spots, it's gonna be more expensive for sure. But we've had a pretty good experience. A lot of people will stop you and kind of give you hellos, where are you from, kind of talking to you. Pretty friendly. I don't know what that means exactly, but nobody's been rude yet, so that's nice. And one thing to keep in mind if you're going to come to Vung Tau specifically is, because it's not a super well-known tourist area, the level of English for a lot of the people that live here is lower. So if that's something that bothers you, then keep it in mind, because we've had to use translator quite a bit, or they have to maybe call out their younger grandson or something to try and translate for us, so that we can order food or find out what something is or the price of something. So learning a little Vietnamese might go a long way. I think I only know hello and thank you so far, but something that to be aware of. This area does not have great English, at least in our experience. Still, I think it's totally worth it to come here, and overall I've had a great experience. The past couple of weeks, we've been here for about a month. The most common type of businesses that I see walking around are probably motorcycle or scooter repair shops, like that one right over there. Various forms of street food, including banh mi, which is definitely one of the most well-known things. And the other thing is probably coffee shops. Coffee is one of the specialties here in Vietnam, and I must admit that this is probably the coolest coffee culture that I've seen since Argentina. There are coffee shops absolutely everywhere, and there is some really good coffee here, like coconut coffees or salted coffees, so you got quite a few options if you're a coffee lover. That's, I think, definitely a plus here, because I like coffee. The food is mostly soups. You got a lot of noodle soups of various kinds, hot pots, pho, and then you get some fried stuff as well, and a lot of seafood. That's popular in a lot of Asia, and Vietnam is no different. You have squid, fish, shrimp. I think that's at least as common as chicken and pork. Beef is going to be a little bit more expensive though. If you're a big fan of steak and hamburgers, oh, you can't see me as well now. If you're a big fan of steak and hamburgers, then this is going to be a little bit more expensive here in Vietnam to find. Though there is definitely no shortage of good food. You got a lot of like the kind of classic things, howdy, of these like old shirtless Vietnamese dudes with cigarettes hanging out of their mouths. It's pretty funny to look at, and a very authentic feeling, I guess, but it's really cool. This city, Vung Tau in particular, doesn't have that much to do, honestly. There's a bit of a nightlife, and if you want to do some karaoke or go out for a drink, there's definitely some places you can do that. This area that I'm walking around right now is probably the most downtown area of Vung Tau that has the most dense accumulation of businesses. There's not too many big malls, but there is a couple of attractions. The two biggest attractions here in Vung Tau are probably Home Park, which is an amusement park that's on top of one of the hills that's here in the area. You have to take so many scooters, you gotta stay on your toes. But it's like in a kind of a local amusement park that you have to take a cable car up to, and it costs it's like 500,000 dong, which is a little expensive. That's maybe 22 USD, but that gets you the cable car ride up, as well as access to all the games and the rides that are on the top of the little mountain, the hill. So it's kind of fun. We did that the other weekend, and I would say it's definitely worth doing once, but you might not return over and over again. It's not a huge place. The only other thing is there's a kind of like a Christ the Redeemer style statue, like the one that's in Rio, Brazil, on top of another hill. Not nearly as big as the one that's in Rio, but you can kind of hike up there and get some really awesome views to look down onto the city. The third main thing to do is just to go to the beach. There are two main beaches. They're called Front Beach and Back Beach, I think. The Back Beach is definitely the bigger of the two, and it's where most of the people go. As far as beaches go, it's not the most beautiful beach I've ever been to. It's usually relatively clean, and I would say that if you just want to swim in the water and, I don't know, lay in the sun for a while, it'll definitely have you covered. The other beach is significantly smaller. You don't see as many people there, but you can like rent a jet ski, hang out a little bit in the sun, and swim if that's your thing. But it's not gonna give you the most beautiful beaches in the world. Overall, I would say that Vung Tau is a pretty solid city to visit, underrated, and you're not gonna find many foreigners here. So if you want a super authentic experience and you're just looking to hang out for a couple of months and work, then consider Vung Tau. Not the most exciting place, but still something that I've had fun being in. I don't like to go out and party that much anyway, and I will say that it feels extremely safe. Shaylin is waiting for me in this coffee shop here, so if you've gotten any information out of this, or if you thought it was kind of cool, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm. Let me know other places that you think are worth visiting in Vietnam, and if you've been to Vung Tau, tell me if your opinion matches what I've had to say so far. Till next time, guys, I think I've repeated myself enough. See you later.